morning, you guys. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. I have a different setup. It's very profesh, you guys. Like it's different levels up in here. Karibu. Welcome. So I've got a great number of ladies with me. Beautiful, intelligent, hardworking, professional ladies seated with me here today. And I'm going to start by letting them introduce themselves. Let's start from this side.
Okay. I'm Janet MBUGUA NDICHU. How would I describe myself? Media personality is probably the easiest. Wife, mom, passionate about social impact, gender, and a spokesperson for Help a Child Reach 5 with Lifeboy. I'm just really happy to be here with these amazing ladies.
Sweet.
Yeah.
I'm Edith. I really don't have many things after my name like that.
Don't hate.
I'm not
Be
hating.
nice.
I really appreciate it. Yeah, and I'm a journalist.
But journalist at
DW.
DW, not just any kind of journalist. No shade, but like, you know, she's
Like DW,
DW.
No.
No.
Well, you know?
Deutsche Welle.
This is going to be long, I feel.
My name is PATRICIA KIHORO. I'm an entertainer and I'm in the media space, the traditional media, social media, and basically I feel like I'm an enthusiast of everything African, whether it's music, literature, arts, and I'm passionate about just spreading dopeness and cheer and happiness and letting the world know that Africa is lit and Kenya is fantastic and we're just wonderful. Hey, come on. I really tried. I was okay. Hey, come on.
Hi, my name is KAGWIRIA. I am a feminist, I am a mother, I am the executive director of Akili Dada, a leadership incubator for girls and young women based in Nairobi, Kenya. I'm very passionate about girls and young women's rights, and I really do think that women and girls do run the world. It's just that we don't get the credit for it, but hey.
I hear you. So I guess maybe I could start by letting you guys know how exactly we came here, or how come we're doing this. But it started maybe, was it a year ago, Janet?
Yeah.
I think a year ago, where we were sitting and chatting, babies running around.
Yes.
And she was like, I have this project coming up, and I just want to know if you'd be interested.
Yes.
And the minute she started explaining to me what this was about, I was like, done. How do I do this? But also, what is it again? What do you need? What is this world of gender equality, and how can I make sure that I use my platform to try and bring attention to this? Maybe you should say what exactly this whole thing is like better for Kenya, and why exactly you decided to start this movement.
So I've had my own foundation for a while, Dada, and just like the rest of you, I'm just very passionate about seeing women and girls. Women have a seat at the table. Girls understand that they have every opportunity in the world to thrive. And so I had interacted with the Gates Foundation a little bit when Melinda Gates came to Kenya in 2016, and then kind of kept in touch with them. And so they were starting this project around how do we amplify gender equality messaging in a way that's we're not shoving it down people's throats, in a way that's organic, with people who are genuinely passionate about women's issues. So that you're not picking random people who are like, you know, I'll tweet because you've asked me to, or because you're paying me a fee.
Yeah.
But they're like, it goes hand in hand with everything they're doing. So whether it's someone who is even an entertainer, but they generally have projects on the side that are to do with women and girls, it's easy for them to plug that in. And so we approached a group of influencers, including yourself, and the idea was, how can we come together and talk about everything we're doing, but also talk about the fact that gender equality is better for everyone. It's not about us versus them, which is always how it's kind of been perceived.
Yeah.
It's not about being better only for women and girls. It's about it being better for Kenya. If we have women and girls, and I know Purity can speak to this from a policy level, but if we have standards, if they have access, if they have opportunities, it's better for everyone. It's better for the families, it's better for the country, it's better for students, it's just better for everyone. And so what it is for the next 1.5 years, it's about bringing more voices together to amplify that messaging. And, you know, towards the end, hopefully get like the gender minister to publish a report about how gender equality has improved over the next 1.5 years.
Yeah, and I think for me what made it hit home was the fact that I had just given birth to my daughter. And I had started to ask myself these questions like, what is it that I want to pass on to her? What am I doing with my life? And I even started to get curious about like global warming, or how am I even, where should I be putting this waste? And should I have a garden and compost pit and stuff like that? So when you approached me with this, I thought, this is perfect even for my channel and what I want to do. But I guess now I want to get into how exactly has this had an impact on you? Do you remember the first moment where you thought to yourself, well, why can't I do that? Am I less than, or am I not equal to? Do you have any memories? And maybe I can start. One of the first things I remember was the moment, so my brother and I used to fight a lot, physically. And so the moment where I realized he's younger than me, but stronger than me. And so fights were not about punching anymore. And I remember it actually isn't what you'd expect. It wasn't like, you should sit down and be a lady. It wasn't any of that. It was more like, Jeff can really hurt you, so you need to take it back. And I was like, well, why can he hurt? I'm older than him. What do you mean? So for me, that's one of the first moments where I thought, oh, there's a difference between, besides physically, but there's a difference between men and women and how much force you can use when you're playing and how you need to be aware of that. And another thing I remember quite early on was when my dad, I think I was asking him about his sisters, and he was saying how, no, but they don't have land here. This is where all the guys have land. And I was like, why haven't your parents shared some piece of land? Where's their share? And he was like, oh, well, they didn't really see it like that, so it's only the men who had the land, because the girls will get married. And I was like, that doesn't happen in this family. I hope. But that being said, never have I ever felt like, no, you don't have a place here, or this is because you are married off, then it's not for you to say or to have. But for me, that's one of the earliest moments where I thought, what? One, men are stronger, and so I should watch myself, watch what I say, because they might really hurt me. And two, I may not be in line for inheritance or something because I'm a woman. What about you guys?
Well, mine is the first time it ever felt like that, it's not even as deep, to be honest, but then I was just like, this is screwed up.
Yeah.
This is not proper. And as a child, I was a tomboy. Like, honestly, I could have been a boy, just based on how I used to play, the games I was into, the clothes that I would be bought for, because my dad we used to travel a lot, and he'd come home with all these dresses and things, and my mom would save them for the one special event, and I would wear them once because we go back home and they're ruined, because I'm in the trees, on a rooftop, playing in the mud. I was a tomboy through and through. And I remember when I was about maybe 4 or 5, just about to turn 5, and I used to hang out with these boys in the hood, maybe a group of other 4 boys. I never used to play with the girls, so it was just playing around and hide and seek, climbing trees. And then one day we found a hole like dug in the ground, and all the boys start peeing in the hole. So I'm like,
Was that a game?
It wasn't a game. It was
Pee in the hole. Yeah.
a hole. Like peas. I mean, we were 4.
Yeah. Yeah.
So everybody's peeing. I'm like, me too. And you figure out how to pee when you're standing. As a kid, there's like tricks. But we didn't think anything of it, because at the time we were not thinking sexually. It wasn't oh, you're naked. It was just, let's pee in the hole. As soon as I start to pee, this boy called Aleki runs home. Mama,
Snitches.
Snitches end up in those ditches.
I'm like, wait, what is happening here? And my mom comes out and I'm like, so of course I run to hide somewhere.
Yeah.
And she finds me, and I'm taken home, and my mom wants to beat me up for peeing outside, and I'm like, wait, but we were all
That's another thing.
Yeah.
all of us together.
Yeah. And we done everything else together.
And
so.
this boy hasn't thought to go say,
Yeah.
It was just me specifically, and that's when I felt singled out, and I was like, wait, we've been doing the same stuff.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it almost felt like actually this is VIP.
Yeah.
VIP.
It's different.
Oh.
Of course, the puns have begun. That was really, that was good. That was good.
And since then, that's when I became aware that there's certain things that I may not be able to do because I'm a girl.
Yeah.
And you know, my parents were the most liberal parents that I had, but you know, every once in a while, looking back, they would make some comments that were, they probably didn't even think about. But you know, my dad, I remember my dad once said, you know, with all those scars you have, you can never be a model, eh? Because we were looking at something like CNN style with also clench, and you know, I was just like, wow. My dad's like, yeah, but with all your scars, because you're always playing with boys, you can't be. And I was just like, wait, huh?
Yeah.
This doesn't even make sense.
Right.
But so it was just small things like those, which I know were not conscious at all, because my folks have always supported anything I wanted to do. But there were always like little things that people would say or do that made me aware that because I'm a girl, there's certain places I can't access, or certain things I can't do without people judging me.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, it makes me wonder, like, how much of that is internalized without even us knowing. How much of that we end up passing on to our children or people around us.
Perhaps up to 95%, because what you're talking about is normalized behavior, where first of all, a boy of 4 years old is able to understand that as a girl, this is not something that you should be doing. Where did he pick that up from? I don't imagine that his parents sat him down and said, this is what girls do and this is what boys do. But the adults around him must have had some behavior, which then taught him that as a boy, I like the word you used, this is the access I have and this is the access the women don't have. And the stories that we're sharing about childhood, I think, go to show how our choice as women is eliminated at every step of our life. It's not so much what we can't do, but also the things we are forced to do. I remember growing up in Shags, and it's a party, everyone is having fun, the boys are all enjoying the goat running around, but as a girls, you have to wash the house, you have to wash the dishes. Why?
Or serve the men.
That
really pits. That really gets to me. Like serve. It's like, so in our house we don't do that. So whenever it's like, oh, why don't you serve? I'm like, why don't? What do you mean serve? Even as a child, and so I'd often be seen as like, that one is going to be a tough one. Hey, try it. That one is going to take a while.
And that's the thing. Our choices are taken away from us gradually to a point where we become shells of human beings. And the men are able to treat us like that because we've accepted this of ourselves and of other women. And allowed it.
And I think I'm a mother of a son, and I can absolutely see that if I wasn't conscious on the roles and responsibility that I think are assigned to men and women, my son would end up turning out to be about all these other people we talk about as men we don't want in our lives. Because, you know, little things will happen, like he'll say, oh, mama, take hey kitchen. I'm like, no. You want 3. And you're busy telling me, three. And he's telling me, peleka this kitchen. And I've told him, no, take it to the kitchen yourself. And then I realized that, of course, he spends quite some time with the nanny. And I've caught the nanny a couple of times saying to him, apana, boys are fanyangi, boys are kuli chocolate, boys are funny, I don't know what. I was like, no. First of all, don't tell him boys don't cook. So I like to cook. And my son will come, I have this little pan, you know, the one you use to make a one egg. So I bought it and it turned out really does not make the one egg. It turned out a dab.
She's like, that's a side note.
But now my son, every time I'm cooking, he'll come and say, Mama, whatever, I put it for him. So before, nanny drama, so this is a new nanny. This nanny you haven't had for too long. So then she started telling, no, boys don't cook. I'm like, no. Everyone eats in this house. Everyone cooks. So don't tell my son that he can't cook or he can't do anything just because he's a boy. And I do realize that then what ends up happening is if he's not in the kitchen with me, he's in the sitting room with his dad, maybe watching TV or whatever, and eventually he will grow up thinking this is the norm. This is what boys do. I've seen my father do this, so I'm going to, he just picks that up. And 20 years later, like,
what have I done? And you didn't mean to.
I have a very similar story where the other day on a Sunday, my son said, Mommy, please go to the kitchen and make for me eggs. Just like that.
Okay.
So I
First
said,
of all, how cute.
He said please. He said please. And Eddie was there. I'm like, do you want to say something?
Yeah.
My husband was there. And he's like, I'm like, you need to tell him that it's not just me,
Mom,
who goes. So he had to go make the egg.
Yes.
I'm like, we have to show him, because he can, just like she's saying,
Yeah.
he can already see that I'm the one who's there, or the nannies. So everyone who's female is in the kitchen. And you know what I mean? So, and they start to pick up that early.
Very early.
And so that day I became so conscious. I told them, you can cook if you want to. You can go to the kitchen if you want to. So now at least he started clearing his own dish. So
Yeah.
he'll take his dish to the kitchen
Yeah.
when he's had lunch. Or if there's a mess, he'll ask if he can help clean it up.
Right.
But I was like, you have to be so intentional.
With this
Because if
stuff.
you let that slide. I grew up seeing my dad once in a while chip in.
Yeah.
He went to a British school, so maybe it was the Jungu thing or
Yeah.
something, but he was very okay with Sundays I make breakfast. or
Right.
whatever. So luckily, we kind of grew up knowing you can.
Yeah.
Either way. Similar to Patricia, I was such a tomboy, spent a lot of time with my brothers. I was
Yeah.
literally just like a boy, 100%. I even cut my hair. Didn't want to wear dresses or anything. And then in those little instances, it's you can't play with us because you're a girl, or you
Yeah.
can't dress like that because you're a girl. So very
Or
early
it's too
on,
rough for
it's
girls.
too rough or whatever.
Shouldn't be
I
here.
didn't care. I was still very rough.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I think it's really important what Edith said about choice.
Yeah.
Because when growing up, my dad was in the kitchen more than my mom was. And it was just a normal thing. Sometimes we'd laugh about it because my dad is an amazing cook and he loves to cook. And at some point my dad was self-employed, and when the house girl didn't come back after Christmas and my mom has to go to work, my dad will stay home, we'll clean the house together, we'll make fun and whatever, we'll have a day of it.
Yeah.
Or my dad had never been averse to housework or anything of that sort. But the clincher is when we'd go shags. Like
Really.
it changes, and I don't think it was just I would notice that, and it's not to say anything, but shags, it's a bit more traditional, definitely. And so yes, we get to shags and the girls are the ones who are cooking and cleaning the dishes while the boys are playing and having fun, or they'll chinja the goat and then now do the manly thing. And for me, the
Sitting and
aspect
drinking.
exactly
And waiting. Maybe to
the aspect of
ginger the
choice,
yama.
I think, is the thing that is important, because when you grow up being told because you're a girl you have to do this or you can't, rather than you're a girl, do whatever you want, but let it be a choice.
Yeah.
So I like to wash dishes, to be honest. Once I get in it, I love making sure I like to see how clean I've made dishes, but when I'm made to do it or made to feel like I have to
Yeah.
because I'm a girl,
100%. I think
I'm
a lot of
It's
us are
an
like
issue.
that.
Yeah.
You almost immediately rebel and you're like,
you don't?
suddenly I don't like it.
It's an
Oh yeah,
obligation.
absolutely.
I
I agree
won't
with you.
do the dishes.
Yeah.
I don't like doing dishes.
Yeah.
And I think it's partly because I grew up cleaning dishes.
Yeah.
So there are a few things I've made choices. Of course,
Yeah.
as I've grown older, I'm not going to make chapati. I'm not going to do dishes.
Yeah.
I
How
feel
specific
that's,
you are.
That's my claim to my family. I'm not going to do these things because I feel like you just did them because you are
Yeah.
a girl and you always in
Yeah.
the kitchen.
Yeah.
But speaking of growing up in the village, I grew up in the village and I was brought up by my grandparents. And the interesting thing is my grandparents, who are now in their 70s, did not tell me you can and can't do this because you are a girl. However, my mom, she told me that. And there's this one time, my mom said, so when I was in high school, my brother and I have, my brother is older than me, but he'd repeated. You know those days before Matiani came and said, you can no longer repeat school. People used to repeat classes. So I'd repeated a couple of times and I'd caught up with him. And we did class 8 at the same time. And when I was informed to my mom, and because my brother grew up with his stepmom, my mom said, you know, I'm not saving any money for you to go to college because I'm saving money for your brother. Because you know you've grown up with your grandparents, they really dote on you, so you will be fine. And I think in her head she really didn't think. She thought when I get up to Form 4, life, you know, I've come too far. And in my family, I'm that one person who was the first to finish high school, go to uni, the works. So for my mom, I think she really didn't have that vision of me being anything beyond that class 8. You know, Form 4. And, you know, later on, when I pick these things up with her, it looks like, oh, what's the issue? Girls around don't even go as far as you did. And then one day my uncle said to me, I used to really like wearing shorts because my mom used to have a boutique. So I'd wear all manner of fancy things and really short shorts. So one day my uncle is like, na hizi nini umevaa nini kidogo sana, wewe ni mtoto wa msichana, you should not be dressing like this. I'm like,
Yeah.
Like, what's up with that? And I remember really every other time I went to pick those shots, I was very conscious of what my uncle had said, because then it was, you know, it was a Sunday, we were all eating outside, and he was just broadcasting this to everyone. Like, now I'm going to have signs of immorality because I'm wearing short shorts. And of course, you can see in many ways how women's lives in matters of choice, even what you dress. If you're married, you're expected to dress a certain way, to hang out with a certain clique of people who look like they're helping you preserve your marriage, and you're preserving your marriage so that your husband can look good, because it's a wife's job to preserve the marriage.
Right.
That's actually giving me a headache.
Yeah, it's just like, it's a lot.
You know what I'm thinking? I'm like, I can never be a host of a talk show, because I'm that host who'll just be like, you can't be serious. What?
I know.
But yeah,
too much.
things happen. Then the other thing I wanted to say is, you see, like, we talk because, I mean, we live in Nairobi, in urban centers, so there are few things, because we all, each person sees life using with their own lens. Like, the things I feel, this is suffering, are very different from what you see suffering is, you see. And that means, like, even when we have conversations about what we've been denied as women, what men have been denied, it ends up being very different just based on where we are at a certain time in the world, if I may put it like that. So that if we're in Nairobi, our struggles are so different from a woman, say, in Samburu.
But purity.
However, there is a bit of connectivity. Yes.
Yeah. No, I was just gonna jump in and say, I think the idea of gender equality is such that there should be such a common thread running through all socio-political circles, that it doesn't matter what my challenges and cultural background is, that if I have agency as a woman to make the choices availed to me, then I'm in an egalitarian space.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
However, women are not, yes, they are common threads. For example, things like universal health, they apply to us, right? However, women are not a homogeneous group, right? If you have a younger sister who is 15, the things that she demands from life are very different from what you demand. And gender equality actually does address those things, so that you're not seen as a basket. So that someone, say, doesn't come from America and say, oh, I think we should do a march, right? Let's do a women's march to protest about XYZ. Of course, in Kenya, we've done marches, we've seen people like the late Wangari Maathai do absolute crazy things to fight for something. That has a space. However, in terms of availing rights and opportunities for women, it can't be a one size fits all.
It's so different in
It's
different
different. I think so too.
I think even just to put maybe an example to it, it's, for instance, when there's people on the western side of the world who imagine that women who are Muslim and wear hijabs are oppressed. But I think the gender equality aspect is that we should all have choice to do and to be able to value the things that are valuable to us. So for instance, if I value being able to wear the hijab and for what that represents, let that be my choice rather than somebody coming here and saying
you're oppressed. You
You're
know you're oppressed.
oppressed.
Take that off.
Yes.
And yet
And
it's
for a
your
lot of them, it's
choice.
their choice.
No,
So I think
exactly,
what you meant is
exactly.
Our values in different parts of the world, different parts of the country are different, but we should have the choice to decide for ourselves what it is that we want to uphold, right? So that is my equality rather than somebody coming and telling me what I should be fighting.
Exactly.
And the only way that can happen is, I know this word sounds so technical, but it's engagement, because there was a very interesting example that was brought to my attention where this woman was saying they talk to a lot of men in a certain community about sexual violence. And after talking and engaging these men, one of them said, I had no idea I was raping my wife. I had no idea I was, that she was, because she wasn't doing it by choice. He was just going there and demanding it, and he got a bit graphic and just said, sometimes I would just do whatever I wanted to her. I didn't know until you told me. Until you told me.
Oh my God.
And then the funny thing is, he ended by saying, now I think she enjoys it. I think now because I now understand that it has to be consensual.
Game of Thrones.
Can you see? Okay.
You know what I mean?
I don't watch
Eventually
TV,
she enjoyed it, but
I know.
What?
I know. I was
don't
just,
watch TV.
but Game of
you
Thrones.
never saw them
Yeah,
TV.
TV.
I don't watch whatever
Okay.
series. I thought
Right.
breaking
But-
my heart.
Yeah, especially for Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
But maybe
yeah, so it's engagement. I know it sounds technical, but at the
Yeah.
end of the day, if we're going to sit here, like you're saying, in an urban center, remember, especially out there, the buck stops a lot of the time. It's a patriarchal
It's
society.
Exactly.
If you're not telling them the importance of why consent is important for women,
Yeah.
why them having their own source of income is important, then
Yeah.
you kind of just go around in circles.
Yeah.
And all the time they're open to it. It depends
Yeah.
on how you approach it.
Yeah.
But they're so open, and then once their eyes are open, they say, oh, I literally didn't get it until now.
yeah, and
So-
when you know better, you do better.
What I actually did want to say, and thank you for that clarity, is we sit here, we are among the most educated women in this country. Our generation has the most educated women and men really in this Kenya, in this Africa, you know. And at a certain point, that level, the engagement has to be broken down
Yeah.
so that we are reaching everyone, because at the end of the day, we are women, and to quite an extent our struggles tend to be slightly different depending on where we are, even though they are the same.
Actually, which is what I even want us to talk about now, because maybe people assume that, oh, we figured it out, everything is great. We don't have any issues. Gender equality is hard for you women in Samburu, hey? But I think we all go through
Yeah.
moments where we're just like, what the
Yeah.
just happened? Did I just... am I in a room full of men, but the boss picked me to go and serve tea for him? And yet it's again, it starts from childhood. Okay, now I know you're really into this conversation, but you have to come back tomorrow to watch a second clip. It was too juicy, and I thought maybe we should cut it. I thought we should cut it into two. And these girls are amazing and beautiful and gorgeous and funny and hilarious and intelligent, and you want to come back tomorrow. Come back tomorrow. See you tomorrow.